like, Jane knows a lot about the violence that you're talking about. The Greeley incident, for instance, that when she brought the suffragette to.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of thing went on for a long time around here, and in different ways. And my feeling from my own research is that there are a great many more people involved in Ellsworth or certainly supporting this tarring and feathering than people generally want to let on. I don't think that Ellsworth American would have remained with the name that it had after the incident if indeed the Americans were not popular here and continued to be popular here, and that Baptist was not and the Catholics were not. John Black, and you might be interested in doing this historically, although it would be of little point, it would take you a lot of time. But John Black, the grandfather, the man who owned and built the Woodlawn House, was an elderly blind man by the time these events were taking place. But throughout the late 1840s and into the early 1850s, because he was British, he was an American citizen by then. Well, there wasn't any citizenship, but he came from Great Britain. But because he had such connections with British banking interests, he actually did a lot of. There are many letters at the Woodlawn. There are a lot of cases in which he would help Irish people here send money back to Ireland to their families, and he was somewhat instrumental in doing that for various Irish workers that worked for him. They had no means of doing that, of getting money back home, particularly from this very, really frontier outpost, which it even was in the 1850s. And since that was known and understood, he suffered some violence. Now, nothing happened to the house, but there were vandalisms done to, certain vehicles he had out, oxen whose throats were slit out on his logging teams, things that are out away from the house, certainly with that in mind, because they were angry at him for helping.
Herb Silsby gave me a copy of a letter that he had probably one of the ones you mentioned, where I think it was Black, probably just as you were mentioning, was making a comment, something about that an Irishman was receiving so much a year. I mean, this was his yearly income, whatever it was, X, and yet he was sending this back to home. And he said it's curious how. He said how they could live because they have so much little money, but yet they're sending it back to Ireland, as it were.